Alrighty, so we're going to be messing around with Roxy a little bit in some of the demonic beasts. I don't know, I'm probably not going to do an entire run of all of these because you'll kind of get the point after we do probably one floor of each of these. Obviously, the first floor is going to be the easiest floor, so take some of it with a grain of salt if you're thinking about like, oh, like it ran super easy in floor 1, hopefully it'll be good in the later floors. I have seen people, I've seen Marilli, I've seen Nagato, there's tons of YouTube creators on JP that have already made it all the way through all of the floors for Skull and Hati, Ichtharnir, and Frasvelger with the new Roxy, and so I just kind of want to show off her capabilities today because she is very impressive, to be honest. I really do think that she's super good. We're going to be running this team because this is kind of like the team that I normally run, except for instead of Roxy, I normally have Cusack on the team, but she is going to help Escanor deal bigger damage, and I think the biggest reason why you want to run this character is because she's going to help get through damage caps so much easier. If you know, her passive basically makes it to where after she hits, once the skill is done, it basically does an additional hit, kind of like Escanor's Scorch card, but it's 300% of her normal attack stat, and she has like the second highest, or maybe, I think she might even be the highest attack stat in the entire game at the moment. So let's go ahead and just kind of waste... well, I hate to waste this, but I need to get off at least 2 attack cards. I think this might be the biggest conundrum, is that she has an AoE card as well, on top of the fact that Cusack normally has 2 single target cards that I can kind of just waste no matter what, because they don't really do me that much good, and I can kind of use those to help get Melly's passive off, whereas now I'm gonna feel dumb if I ended up wasting, like, oh, like, I don't want to waste this card because it's really good, or I don't want to waste this card because it's really good, you know, and of course Melly's Amplify card is really good. So basically all of my single targets are now really good, except for maybe the Miguelda card, but you can't start with 2 of those. So that might be a little bit of an issue, kind of, sort of, but let's go ahead and throw these out, throw that away. Obviously, Phase 1 and Phase 2 do not have damage caps on them, so there's really not going to be too much of a reason to mess around with these ones extensively, but we could potentially show off like a really big attack possibly. So let's go ahead and get Melly's stack going, and then let's use the Escanor card here, and then we'll see if we can deal really big damage with that, because these cards are not going to do too crazy, but they'll at least be 2 single targets to get our damage reduction stack, and then this should deal... I doubt we even get the extra damage off here. Yeah. So that's 250k. Pretty easy. This is the first stage that has a damage cap on it, and we're pulling an absolute buttload of Roxy cards. So we should be able to blow through this really easily. I'm going to throw this on just so that way we get an extra stack. And then we're just going to use 3 level 1 cards and see how that does us. I'm really skeptical with the card draw that I've gotten so far on how I'm going to get through this last phase, because I don't think Roxy's going to help too much in that regard. But you can see she does over 10% HP, which means that you can literally get through this like super fast. Like, you don't even need 4 cards, even though he has a 30% damage cap, which Escanor was already helping that quite a bit, but he wasn't dealing quite 10% damage, which could be troublesome in some regards. Like, you couldn't use his card like last on floor 2, phase 2, or, well, I don't want to say last. You had to use it at a certain order, or else it would kind of screw you up there a little bit. But either way, nothing too crazy. This is a Sever ultimate. I'm assuming if we crit here, it's going to do a good amount of damage. We actually got a level 3 melee card, which might end up being our saving grace here. This actually, well, it didn't crit, so it's not going to do extra damage, which then again, she's unknown actually, so that wasn't going to crit anyway. That actually did really good damage because it crit, actually, so that's pretty impressive. I don't have Cusack. Ooh, that actually does deal damage. Ooh, okay. I'm actually really happy about that. Let's do floor 2 as well on the bird, just because I know that floor 2 is one that a lot of people have trouble with because they don't want to run, or people want to run taunt units and everything for floor 2, phase 2. So let's just kind of blitz through this one really quickly. But I'm actually pretty happy with just the fact that she was able to do damage on that phase and crit because of the Miguel debuffs that we had on. We were actually able to one-turn that, so that was pretty nice, pretty impressive actually. So can't really complain there. I don't know. it's hard. I feel like it's like almost redundant. Like, of course, you guys want to see if the characters can deal damage and stuff like that on these phases and stuff. So I get that I should make content on the bird and the deer and stuff, but I have all of the holy relics for the bird, the deer, and the dogs now. So unfortunately, it just feels like a little bit of a waste for me to run these game modes now, which kind of sucks. But I don't know. A lot of you guys are still, you know, sort of working your way up to the end game. Some of you guys are in the end game. You can't complete this stuff nearly as like consistent as I can. Maybe, I don't know. So these are definitely helpful videos for you guys. So I want to put them out there, but at the same time, like running these things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again just gets really boring sometimes. Like I am super sick of running these fights like at this point. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm a little little on the skeptical side, I guess, of having to run this now that I'm completely caught up on them at least. So I don't know. It is what it is, of course. Like, everybody has a different experience with this kind of stuff, but it is, like, I feel like if I was a normal player, I would basically never have to touch these game modes again, but because I have to make content on them, I kind of do need to play them every once in a while, which, I don't know, that might sound a little scummy on my part, but let's do, okay, so this is the phase. We can pretty much just do, let's try to do 2 level 2s and then a Scorch card here, and then we can basically throw that away, because I'm pretty positive that we're going to end up getting through, because this is dealing damage cap, and then it's hitting another, like, 13% damage, and then, yeah, this card is going to hit, he's going to res, and then the residual damage on it is going to hit, and then easy peasy. Like, so quick, so easy, it's crazy. Alright, so this phase is also kind of annoying sometimes. I think we can kind of just go for, like, something like this to get ults in hand. Maybe we even buff beforehand. Normally, I'm kind of skeptical about this this phase because he gains buffs if you don't kill him fast enough. But with this team, I guess as long as you're getting the single targets that you need, you should be able to blow through this phase really quick, which is really nice, honestly. It's just going to make farming this so much faster, which is a really unfortunate, too, because last week we had the double farming mats or whatever. Like, you got double wind sources and river sources and stuff like that if you were running the first 3 demonic beasts, whereas now that event is over with, and it's not going to work as well. Let's try to use the Roxy cards first just to see how everything goes, because her ult is basically always going to crit because of the triple crit chance, and then it's going to deal extra damage. I don't think that dealt quite damage cap. I don't think, which is a little weird. That one, I think, did deal damage cap, and then boom, bam, easy peasy. 212 is damage cap on that phase. So, I mean, still getting through it incredibly fast. I don't know. Maybe I just do the bird only. Like, I want to mess with the other ones, but I'm so sick of running them. I haven't ran the deer consistently in a really long time. And the deer is a little bit more like you need to have certain characters, and I don't know. We'll finish up the bird. We'll maybe call it a day after this. If you really want to see me run the deer and the dogs, I guess let me know, and I'll probably just do a separate video for them. But I don't know. The bird is what I've been farming the most recently, so you'd think I would be sick of this one the most, but this one, for me specifically, is by far the easiest. I know that a lot of people do think that the deer is really easy, and I kind of agree. But sometimes the RNG on the last phase can kind of screw me up on that one, and it just makes the run like a little bit more annoying, I guess. But let's go ahead and throw these out. Get a melee stack going. Everything is going pretty smooth so far. This phase right here can be a little annoying because he has like a lot of defense-related stats, if I'm not mistaken. So just like getting through this one fast is kind of hard to do. But we'll see. I maybe should have just went ahead and tried to use the single targets there, which I've got extras now, so I definitely want to try to use them this turn just to see how it goes. Got blockaded, of course, which is not a big deal, really. Melee always kind of takes a little bit of a beating here, but I think what we'll do is we'll single target with Escanor and Roxy this turn, and then we'll just go ahead and use this melee AoE, so hopefully we can lifesteal a little bit, but this heal should work pretty good for us. Not quite full, of course, but it is what it is. Okay damage. The extra hit was really good. This card's doing really good damage. Up to 243, which is wild. That's so much damage. If I would have used the other Escanor single target, I think we would have killed there, which is impressive. So that's really nice. Ultimates never really hit that hard. Like, they do good damage, of course, but it's not, like, super crazy. Unless I get crit on this hit, it doesn't really ever do too much. We don't have a heal card, which is a little unfortunate. So let me try to kill with this, and then we'll just waste that. And then we'll push into the next phase. So we'll see how this goes. I think the melee can clean this up. Yeah. We got a crit off 137k on lifesteal there, which was really good for us, of course. Getting a lot of Escanor cards, which is really good. If I can get through this phase quickly, which I hope that I can, we should be able to avoid having to deal with... Ooh, that's actually not doing as much as I was hoping it would. Maybe I should have used the melee card here. Actually, I think I can kill here. Unfortunately, he's still going to get dissolved because he had the buff on. Or the, whatever that is called. It's like a gray debuff. But maybe it's a great buff, I guess, technically for him. So we can just go ahead and cleanse it off. Why not? Let's throw some of this stuff away. Work on getting ults. Finish up this phase, and then we should be able to one-shot the last phase pretty easily, I would hope. Depending on if he gets Overcome Crisis, which is his like really big passive where he gets the revive and like a lot of stats. That one can be kind of annoying sometimes, but overall, this team has so much damage, I highly doubt it's going to be an issue. But I guess you never really know. So got all ults in hand. We got another heal card. I might end up having to use maybe the Miguel to ult this phase just to go ahead and try to push through. But not a huge deal there, I guess. Getting our stances disabled, which is not a big deal. I think we go ahead and heal to get some more damage going. Let's go ahead and ult with Miguelda, throw this away, and then we have a Escanor single target card for the next phase if we need it, which honestly it does really good damage. He has a lot more health and defenses and stuff like that now, so we probably won't hit damage cap with a level 1 card if I had to guess, which I highly doubt Roxy's card is also going to hit damage cap. But we'll kind of see. This is just the 50% revive if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So let's go for... we could go for just Roxy cards. I'm kind of more interested to see how it goes with just like the extra damage that she's going to deal. So that crit didn't deal that much damage. Those level 2 cards should be pretty good. 207's not damage cap, but it goes into a 268. 131 into 192 is not too bad either. This should kill, well, I don't know. Is that gonna? Yeah, okay. So because his hits the Scorch and the additional damage from Roxy's passive, it dealt enough damage to pop the revive there, which is really good. And then we have melee single targets, which is more than enough to kill, I think, on top of the Roxy cards. So we'll just probably throw the melee card out, the Roxy card, to hopefully finish it off, depending on how much damage it deals. And then if for whatever reason he were to survive this turn and get his buff off, which has evasion, we would have the melee ultimate to be able to remove that. So honestly, I'm super happy with how she works on the bird. Like, just being able to get through damage caps a little bit more consistently. I think she's going to be a really good character to pair with Escanor for like fast farming, like final bosses and stuff like that, because a lot of the time final bosses also have damage caps and stuff on them nowadays, so it should be really quick. So let me know what your thoughts and opinions are of the Roxy down below. I know a lot of people are super skeptical on summoning for her at the moment, because obviously there's a potential collab right around the corner, and that is definitely a little bit more you know, sought after, of course, because the characters are a little bit more exclusive. But I think that she's doing really well. She's like just shy in PvP for me and my experience to really be like top tier, but the PvE is honestly very impressive to see. So I don't know, maybe we could end up seeing like a human team for Nidhogg if we're lucky going forward in the future, which would be really cool. But I guess we'll just have to see who ends up getting the Nidhogg unit for like just the one that's going to be like the staple that you have to throw on like every team. It would be really cool, actually, if they made the Nidhogg unit like a universal unit that counts as all races, so that way you could just build all kinds of different teams around that unit, I guess. Like, Freya is, of course, locked down to either the Unknown team or the Goddess team because of her relic, but it'd be really cool to see, like, I don't know, a universal unit, but maybe that's asking too much. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.